who's been kind of presenting at Chicago Pecha Kucha night for quite a few times, right?
Yeah, I did. I think this is my fourth Pecha Kucha.
Oh, okay. So veteran.
Well,
he can do it. Okay, we look forward. The slides are yours. Thank you, Tom.
Konnichiwa. My name is Tom Busmwood. From Chicago. I've been doing a lot of work with 3D scanning and 3D printing, and I've been using this technology to make 3D printed books. And so what I wanted to talk about today was my process with the 3D scanning, and then also talk a little bit about the 3D printed books that I've made. So the story starts, as always, in New York at the Metropolitan Museum in 2012, and a hackathon organized by the company MakerBot. And 40 of us descended on the mat and 3D scanned our collection and shared it to a website called Thingiverse on the internet. And so this is the classic 3D scanning pose where you get down like so, like a crab, and take a lot of photos. Now, I thought I'd give a bit of a history lesson before we jumped into the meat and potatoes of it all. This is a chap called Albrecht Meyenbauer. He fell off this cathedral, by all accounts, in around 1880, thereabouts. And as he was falling off this cathedral, thought there's got to be a better way of doing this. And so he invented a process called photogrammetry, where you take a lot of photos and that creates a 3D model. Now, this is another sort of historical precedent. On the left, we have Alberti, and he is using a method of segmenting the figure using plumb lines and this kind of circular device in the line to create a point cloud. And so the thing on the other side was a laser scan. This is Francois Villam. This is a French inventor, and again around the late 19th century, and there are many cameras all around the space, and they're taking these photographs and then they're cutting a silhouette out of plywood and then creating the 3D form in a cylinder. Now, many of you have probably seen something similar to this. This is a point cloud of a default standard IKEA chair that's 3D scanned using infrared. So on the left you have all the point cloud showing all the different points in space, and on the right the 3D print from my 3D printer at home. So after the Met, I came back to Chicago and started 3D scanning iconic sculptures from Chicago. This is Edward Keamy's Lion from the steps of the Art Institute of Chicago. Those of you who've been to Chicago will know this quite well. And I was really surprised at the quality of scans you could get from a digital camera, right? So if you have a digital camera, you have a 3D scanner. If you have an iPhone, there's an app for that, you know. So I thought it'd be fun to make a 3D printed book. After all, art history books, you read them, right? And you have photographs of sculptures, and you can't see them in the round. And so I thought it'd be fun to make a book where you could touch and feel and get a sense of the thing. And I was thinking a lot about the offset, the depth of the pieces. And so it occurred to me to use the accordion book, the Orahan, yeah? And so that's why it's really nice to be here in Tokyo today to present this. And so it's modular, joins together. So this is an image of me at the Art Institute. So at the museum, I did a residency right after Orahan was published. So this is my studio with a nice Ellsworth Kelly in the background. And then on the bottom right, one of my MakerBots printing a sculpture of this Roman piece here. So while I was at the Art Institute, I published my second 3D printed book, Folium. This is my favorite quote in the media about my work ever, right? 3D printed book that lets you touch precious art with your grubby meat hooks. Any Invader Zim fans in the house? No? Okay, all right, well, that's the new one for you. Netflix it. Top right, Braille. So one of the things I realized quite quickly with Orahan is that it was opening up the art to a range of audiences with different accessibility. And so by simply putting the Braille in there and then having the page numbers in Braille, it would sort of identify the work that people were touching. So fast forward to 2015, my friend Tim Samuelson here asked me if I could do a book of Louis Sullivan. He has a whole bunch of collection of Louis Sullivan's ornament that's been from buildings demolished in Chicago, as we do. And this is actually from Pecha Kucha at the Chicago Architecture Biennial. So what you see here on the left is a Louis Sullivan building that's known as the Barbie House that was demolished in 1963, I believe, to make way for a parking lot. Just let that hang for a second. And this in the middle is the laser scanner across the surface. And so then it produces something like this, which this is in a program called NetFab. And so I clean up the 3D mesh with all the big holes in it to get something nice like this, which is 3D printable, and then decimate the mesh so that it's not too intense, so that it prints a little bit faster. So this then is in Rhino. So I do a lot of my 3D modeling in Rhino, and so then taking the meshes, aligning them, inscribing text, adding the braille, and then one of the things that I'm really interested in is having both the positive and the negative, so that you can take an impression from it. So this shows you 20-something Sullivan, which is the third book, the Louis Sullivan book. So it's designed around a circular kind of hub. The pages are about 220 millimeters tall, or 220 millimeters across, and about a range of depths. So you have the original Barbie house terracotta. As I said, I quite like to have the negative. This was really born out of the idea that if I take the book and put it on a Xerox machine, it ain't going to work. But if I add the mold in the back, you could take the Play-Doh and stick it in there, and then the book is a photocopier, right? Now, as with a lot of my projects, it's on the internet. You can download it and print it yourself. The Sullivan book is in the public domain. We put all the scans in the public domain. So all of you interior architects and designers out there, feel free, go to Thingiverse, download it, and figure out how to use it. Get it back into the public domain. Get it back into circulation. That's the whole reason we made the book. I will be exhibiting the books in real life at Maker Faire at Big Site August 6th and 7th. So if you want to actually come and see the books in real life, interact with them, play with them, use some Play-Doh on the back, etc., etc., come to Maker Faire and I'll be there. That's my Twitter handle. Arigato.